Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It's a Wednesday here in the Country Financial Studio. Ryan Milano here with you, getting you prepared for an Oregon baseball game day as the Ducks won against Xavier yesterday. It's game 2 of a midweek doubleheader here today, coming up at 3 o'clock at PK Park. Also, recapping Oregon men's basketball, whose season came to a close in the Big Ten tournament against Maryland as the Ducks lost 70-60 against the Terrapins. And we'll also talk to Val Johnson, Oregon Deputy Athletic Director, who has been on the road with Oregon women's basketball throughout the course of their, Big Ten season and the Big Ten tournament, getting prepared for Selection Sunday coming up for the women this Sunday. So much more coming up on today's show of Duck Insider as everything is going on. So many different sports in Oregon athletics happening right now. And unfortunately, it's one fewer today than it was yesterday because Oregon men's basketball in the Big Ten tournament fell to Maryland 70-60. This was a tale of two halves for Oregon, and unfortunately the Ducks, they just spotted Maryland too many points, especially in this first half. The Ducks scored just 12 points in the first half. It was a 33-12 score at halftime, and then Oregon played really well in the second half, actually. The Ducks scored 48 second-half points, but ultimately it was a 70-60 loss for Oregon men's basketball. Nate Biddle in his final game, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Kwame Evans Jr. had 14 points and 9 rebounds in this one. Takai Simpkins, 10 rebounds and 5 assists for Oregon, but ultimately the Ducks did not shoot the ball well enough, especially from deep, just 19% for the Ducks from outside, and Oregon in the first half just wasn't able to make almost anything. And Maryland, they didn't play great in the first half, but they certainly played well enough to balloon out a big enough lead to hold Oregon at bay despite a comeback effort in the second. 70-60, the final score as Oregon loses in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. Post-game reactions from Coach Dana Altman, Nate Biddle, and Kwame Evans Jr. as they spoke with the media in Chicago after the Oregon men's basketball loss to Maryland. Let's hear from Coach and the two players.
Really disappointed in the way we started the game, obviously. My job to have them ready to play, and that first half was awful, another way to put it. Offensively, defensively, we were down 12 on the boards. We didn't do anything right. But the guys really battled, tried to get themselves back in at the second half, cleaned up some of the board play, made a couple shots. But really disappointed for the guys, especially these two guys. Nate's battled injuries all year and fought his tail off, and KJ's tried to hold it together throughout the year. So really disappointed for these two guys because they tried to keep us in it all year. Guard play has suffered throughout the year. Today, they obviously didn't shoot it very well, which was part of our problem.
Nate, it's been 5-6 years kind of in the Oregon fold. I'm just curious, when that final buzzer goes, what's going through your head there?
Just how blessed I've been to be a part of this program for 5 years. Came in as a freshman, how to work my way into the lineup and everything. And then, I've built a great relationship with this guy right here and teammates that I've had throughout this whole process, whether it was my freshman year all the way up, until now. It's just been a blessing and, nothing I'll ever take for granted. And, I'm thankful to be a part of this program.
When you guys got back into that game there, it was just a few days ago that you guys had a pretty miraculous run to close a game. Like, did you feel like that this game was getting close again, or you guys had an opportunity?
Yeah, but we had a couple turnovers there that caused some easy buckets for them when we cut it down, and we just had to do a better job of taking care of the ball and rebounding, and we just didn't come out ready there in that first half. They jumped on us early, and ultimately they got the little gap lead right there, and we tried fighting back, but it wasn't enough.
Kwame, there's so much transition in college basketball. You guys have new teammates every year, but you and Nate have been together for quite some time now. What's it mean to you to sit next to him one last time and kind of the relationship that you two have had?
I'm grateful for it. I mean, I've been with this guy since I've been here. He's been leading us. I mean, just watching him every day, just coming in, even if he's been hurt, just showing, leading by example. It's just great to be with him for like one last time, and it's just really grateful for it.
Dana, just with the end of the season, the end of this game, what's your emotions right now?
Well, I mentioned disappointed for those guys. They've been 2 NCAA tournament teams last year and last 2 years, and the expectations were for us to win again, and we didn't. Part of that's injuries, part of that's poor decisions that I made in recruiting and not getting enough experience. So when our experience did go down, whether it was Jackson or Nate, we weren't able to keep anything together. And I mentioned our guard play, and we haven't had the assist to turnover ratio, the ball movement, the playmaking for KJ and for Nate that we needed to. So no, I'm disappointed. It's been 30 years since I had a losing season, or my teams have had a losing season, so it's kind of hard to digest. But like I said, I mostly feel bad for the guys that, Nate doesn't get to do it again, and KJ gave us everything, Sean gave us everything, the guys that were all in, and it just didn't work out.
When it comes to kind of moving on from this and building for next year, obviously in today's college basketball, it's hard to tell who's going to be on the roster at whatever school. Do you have any sense of what your team's going to look like next year? And is there anything that you can sit here today and say, like, I need to do this better going into next year?
Well, I need to do a lot of things better. I've got to make better decisions on the guys that we bring in. We've got to get some experience. I thought our lack of experience, I think we played 15 or 16 quad one games. You're not going to win quad one games with inexperienced players. Other than Arizona, who's got 2 NBA freshmen, you look at NBA freshmen, they're a lot different than regular freshmen. So you take out the guys at the high end of that freshman class that are going to the NBA right away, the other freshmen struggle. And so you've got to be experienced. And, with the quality of games that we had this year in the non-conference and the conference, you have to have a more experienced team. And whether it be Nate out with his ankles or Jackson out, the experience that we had were those 2 guys. Those were 2 all Big Ten team players, and Nate was a defensive player last year that led the league in blocks. And this year he just wasn't as bouncy. He springs his right ankle early and then his left ankle in early January. And to his credit now, he fought his tail off to come back. He came back early on both of those. And so I give him a lot of credit for that. And but he wasn't the same player he was a year ago. He's got to get healthy and try to make a run here, get on an NBA team. And but he's got to get healthy first. Those ankles, he's got to get his bounce back. And the only way he does that is get fully healthy. So, but I am so appreciative of the fact that he didn't leave us hanging. He fought his tail off. KJ, like I said, came every day. I think he missed 1 game or 2, but he was there all year.
Have you ever had a half like that in your career? And what do you say at halftime to get them back? I mean, they were competitive in the second half.
I'm sure I have. You do this 46 years. There are probably a couple. 3 for 22. I'm not sure about that, but I told them how disappointed I was in the fact that we were down 12 rebounds. I said, fellas, that just means they're playing so much harder than you. I said, I know we missed shots, but we gave into it, you know, and bad teams give into it. You know, when the shot's not falling, their energy level goes way down. I said, I don't think you guys are bad players. I don't think you're a bad team. But you got outworked there, and that's not what we do. And so we're going to get on the boards. We're going to try to get it to 15 at the first TV timeout. We're going to try to get it to 10 at some point during the game and see if we can make something happen. But totally unacceptable to get out-rebounded by 12. And, you know, the shots didn't fall. Like I said, that's mentally we weren't prepared, whatever. We didn't have any fire. We didn't have any bounce. And that's on me as much as them. You know, it's my job to get them ready to play. And we weren't ready to play. So, but they did fight back at least, and I will give them credit for that.
Hi, Coach. I'm wondering what kind of the words you wanted to put there to Lin Wei's performance for this season. And then you just mentioned about some changes on the roster for the next season. So can you still see Lin Wei's on the team for the next season? Well,
that's up to him. You know, we'll meet after the season with all the players. Obviously, things have got to change with all our players, not just Wei. You know, there have to be a commitment to the team and coming back and working their tail off. The adjustment's been hard for Wei with the language, the communication barrier, and then, you know, just the transition. It's a different game, you know, the physicality, the speed, the defensive requirements. You know, college basketball is just a different game than what he's used to. And I've talked to, you know, a couple high school players, you know, from China, and they were glad they got to play high school basketball, you know, instead of just jumping right to college because of the change. So Wei's a wonderful young man, takes care of his business, goes to class, works hard. I've got absolutely no complaints. He's just struggled this year. And, you know, he puts a lot of pressure on himself to be good. And, you know, he gets frustrated when things don't go the way they want him to. But you expect any good player. You know, good players want to play good. And he just struggled making the adjustment. And, you know, I thought I'd have a lot of help with him and Jackson in the backcourt. You know, Jackson could take a lot of the pressure off of him with his experience and make some plays for him in that. And that wasn't able to happen because of Jackson's inability, you know, I mean, his injuries. So a lot of pressure was put on Wei, and, you know, he just struggled with that. But we had a lot of guys struggle with that. You know, Drew Carter, you know, struggled with the pressure, and TK, you know, a negative assist-to-turnover ratio for a guard you can't have. So, you know, our guards just struggled a little bit without Jackson's leadership.
Dana Altman, Nate Biddle, Kwame Evans Jr. in their post-game reactions after Oregon loses in the Big Ten tournament. Joey will be back tomorrow, give him a more overarching sort of season recap for Oregon men's basketball. But ultimately, it's a bit of a disappointing ending for Oregon in the postseason as the Ducks lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. Oregon women's basketball, they had a bit more success in the Big Ten tournament, and we pushed back Athletic Director Tuesday because Oregon men's basketball played yesterday, so it's going to be Athletic Director Wednesday, we think. That conversation coming up with Val Johnson when we return on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working in our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Here on a Wednesday, normally we talk with our athletic directors on Tuesday, but because of the Oregon men's basketball game, there was no show yesterday, which meant that we were pre-recording with Val Johnson. I'm not sure either one of us would have actually noticed if it was actually recorded today or not, just with all the scheduling going about and the travel, especially for Val, with Oregon women's basketball pursuing their postseason efforts, winning a couple games in the Big Ten tournament, and then ultimately awaiting their future in the NCAA tournament coming up on Sunday. The conversation with Val Johnson talking about all things, but mainly Oregon women's basketball into postseason play. Let's hear from Val. Val Johnson here in studio, and there's so much women's basketball going on. Sport administrator for women's basketball, Val Johnson. Senior women administrator, deputy Title IX coordinator. Val, do you know what day it is?
It's so funny. I just said that as I was writing notes down. I did not know what day it was today, but it's Tuesday.
Yes, and this is going to be ultra confusing for the listener.
Okay.
Because it is Tuesday when we're recording this.
Wednesday.
But we are going to air this on Wednesday.
Okay, so it's Tuesday, a.k.a. Fake Wednesday, which actually goes along with everything that we're doing right now in athletics. So you're just coming in live to our world of not knowing what day it is or pretending you know what day it is or maybe even the time of day. So technically, right now, it's Tuesday, March 10th at 1:06.
Yes.
You, though, know this as Wednesday, March 11th at I don't know what time. We'll find out.
This is such a great peek behind the curtain. And for Val, both of us came back from Indiana this week, and it is a little bit of an adjustment to come back from the East Coast and then get back into, like, office mode.
Yeah, the great state of Indiana.
Yes.
On East Coast time.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so you were in Indianapolis for the women's basketball tournament. I was in Purdue for the Oregon baseball series against the Boilermakers. And we are right up against the Central Time cutoff in West Lafayette.
Yes.
From East to Central Time Zone.
Uh-huh.
And so what happened is that half of the hotel clocks adjusted and the other half did not adjust. Right. So we got like a team message that was like, do not rely on the hotel clocks, rely on your phone, like make sure you're on time for everything. But it is it's so close to the Central Time cutoff that I'm not even sure they know what time zone it is.
And it also, this is why it's like be a student athlete when you're young. This is why college age is 18 to 20 something, not when you're pushing 50. Our bodies are less forgiving. And then I think this past week it was a vicious attack on us about the time change while being East Coast / traveling back to Pacific Standard Time. And there was someone tweeted out about like Arizona not switching times or whatever. And
yes.
Like it's,
I grew up in Arizona. It was very nice. I've been very confused over my years here in Oregon.
Yeah, so just partner all of that with, being in Indiana, 3-hour difference, time change, traveling back, again, not knowing what day it is. Yesterday was my Sunday. Like, I just needed another day to catch up on life. So yesterday was my Sunday. Today's technically my Monday / Tuesday / Wednesday. So, yeah, keep up with the Ducks calendar. That's just how we roll now.
Yeah, it's a lot more math than we signed up for. But ultimately, I think that talking about women's basketball, the team, they handled it really well, able to win a couple games in the women's basketball tournament. Just overall, take us from a large-scale perspective of the weekend in Indianapolis and the job of the team.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing for women's basketball is we spent a lot of quality time in Indiana over the past couple weeks. We had the stretch of IU and then Purdue came home, and that was a 5-day stretch, I think it was. Came back home to play UW at home for our senior night on Sunday, whatever Sunday that was. Not this past Sunday, the Sunday prior.
Yes.
And then proceeded to turn right back around to fly back to Indiana, but to Indianapolis. So I feel like I've gone on a great Indiana road tour between Bloomington, West Lafayette, and now Indy. You know, got the whole line out there. So we spent a lot of time out there in the past couple weeks, and it was great. You know, it was really nice to be able to, I would start, you know, with the IU Purdue trip. I mean, the first leg of that wasn't what we hoped for. Finished out strong there at Purdue. Kudos to baseball as well. And then was able to come home. Didn't pan out the way we wanted to against UW going into the conference season, but I mean the tournament play, but did really well. I mean, it's hard to play that many games in, you know, right back to back. And so by the time we matched up with Michigan, I think the legs were a little tired, but now we're just ready for Selection Sunday and figuring out where we go next. Maybe Indiana. Who knows? I don't think that's an option, but who knows?
It felt like a little bit of like a celebration from the conference in Indiana. When we flew in for baseball, we flew into Indianapolis, and there was a giant poster with the bracket up, and there was a giant inflatable Big Ten logo, and then ultimately the team, we hopped on a bus and bussed up to West Lafayette. But for you, sort of the auxiliary of the tournament, did it feel like a difference in terms of like this grand postseason spectacle now?
Yeah, you know, I mean, this is our second time being there. Big Ten does a great job of hosting any sort of conference tournaments. Their staff does a really exceptional job, and you know, just being there, being familiar with, you know, having been there last year, and then, you know, just kind of, you know, the rhyme and reason of how to get around, and they did a really good job. And I think it was great for our student athletes to really experience any sort of postseason play like that from the conference standpoint. Our conference is really good. I mean, we know this in almost every single sport. But, you know, to be able to go out there, and I think going into that tournament, out of the schools that were there, women's basketball, there were 7 teams, 8 teams that are in the top 25. So, you know, you know that tournament is a nice look into what's going to happen in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and to get a couple quality wins as well, to run it back against Purdue and get a win against the Boilermakers, and then to get the win against Maryland to repeat in the regular season. The consequential, or rather sequential days of one after another, but you can also build a little bit of momentum way, and it sort of felt like the team after that Maryland game was like, yeah, roll the ball out again, let's play some more basketball.
Well, you know, and Coach Graves, you know, he did a really good job of really talking to the team about, you know, we're playing on house money at that point. You know, the win against Purdue was great, you know, because we had just played them the week before. So it was kind of another matchup. You never know how that's going to go because, you know, they could come out hungry. And then to go ahead and play Maryland and beat them during the tournament as well as regular season, on the road regular season. So that was a really, really good showing for the team. And then, you know, just kind of seeing how the teams have progressed throughout the tournament. You know, I think the next night Michigan ended up losing to Ohio State. I mean, so it's anyone's night in the conference because of the level of competition. So it's going to be really cool to see how everyone shows up in March Madness.
It was pretty interesting as well because we're talking about time zones here. It was the late tip for everybody in all of the games, and then the shoot-around time the next day was sort of the early shoot-around time. So I thought it was really interesting how creative Kelly Graves got, where he went to the team meeting room, brought out some tape, taped up the lines, brought all the tables out, and said, we're going to sleep in. We're not going to go through walkthrough. We're going to practice their plays here. I mean, finding a way to be creative in a tournament format.
It definitely is great. I mean, the nice thing is, like, everyone's really close to the arena. But, you're trying to get a lot of games in, a lot of court time, shoot-arounds, all those kind of things. So it's hard to actually schedule, how you're going to get in and get those things done. So we really made an emphasis, the coaches did, of like trying to keep making sure, I can't tell you how many times in the team text group, sleep is your number one recovery tool. So we really wanted to make sure that the team prioritized sleep. And part of the way of doing that was, our breakfast typically was like at 10:30 to 11:30, and then, watched a little bit of film, and then they did the walkthrough. And doing the walkthrough in a adjacent conference room area allowed them to still kind of get a feel for the plays, what they needed to do without having to load up a bus or get up early and, head down to the arena or find another gym location. So it was really nice to be able to have that there on site.
It's been interesting to hear Kelly Graves' perspective, because so much about, you think it's, you have to practice all the time, and the only way you get better is by continuing to get on the court and practicing, and that's a vital piece to it. But the recovery piece is equally as vital. And talking about how Kelly Graves navigated the preparation in the Big Ten tournament, he came out post-game and said that the team's not even going to practice until Thursday. They're getting 6 days off. That recovery piece is just as vital to make sure you're ready to play than it is in the preparation of pedal to the metal, let's practice as hard as we can. It's an interesting sort of dichotomy.
Right. I mean, and I think as much as it is about like their bodies, it's about their mind as well. I mean, we have to remember they are students. They all still have their classes. All that stuff is still happening. So they have a lot of just external pressure on them outside of what's happening on the court. And Kelly and his staff do such a really great job of making sure that the student athletes really do understand that there's a full picture of who they are, and being able to give them that downtime, that rest and recovery, that ability to focus on, getting ready for finals. I mean, we have finals week coming up. So when we anticipate being on the road, we'll be finals. So typically I'm the proctor extraordinaire, to proctor exams.
It's a big role.
It's a very big role. Lots of timekeeping, making sure I work with our folks in the JQA about, who needs what and what calculator could be used, and can you use front and back of a note card or just the front. But yeah, they have a lot going on, and I think the coaching staff does a good job of making sure the student athletes feel supported in all aspects of their lives. So something as simple as having, a Sunday through Thursday off helps them mentally and physically.
Well, and you're right. Mentally, it's a grind. You go on the road, and you're coming back, you're switching time zones, and you're going through postseason play. And at this point, the women's basketball team has been in action for about 4 months now throughout the course of their season, entering in on the 5th. And you have to find ways to reset mentally. And you got to imagine having wins the way that Oregon did against Maryland, where you hit that clutch 3 Avery Kane does to secure it. That can also mentally reset a team, where you get some positivity on a clutch play like that. And it's the entire mindset shifts to we're just playing loose. We're playing free. What was your post-game interactions with the team? What was your perspective on that game against Maryland?
The team is so great. I wish everyone had the opportunity to just be with the teams as much as we do as sport administrators. And our role is so different than being a coach or even the athletic trainer or, our strength and conditioning coach, because you're there in a true supportive fashion, but not necessarily hands-on. And it's just really nice to see how the teams can reflect back on whatever happened in that game and take it into the next game. And this group of student athletes is just phenomenal on and off the court, and they're just a lot of fun to be with, and they get along really well. And I think that showcases on to the court with what we all get to see public facing of how they go and represent the team and our university. But really being able to interact with them about just, how are they feeling, and, all those kind of things is really a cool aspect of what I get to do when I'm on the road with them.
Fun to watch Oregon women's basketball navigate through the Big Ten tournament over the course of last weekend. Val Johnson continuing to talk about Oregon women's basketball, and also looking forward to what's ahead for not only Oregon women's basketball, but also kind of the rest of all the student athletes around here at the University of Oregon. Part 2 of the conversation with Val Johnson when we return on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is Meditating with Jan from Toyota. Soften your focus and imagine yourself off-roading in a Tacoma. Breathe in, breathe out, and go from dreaming it to driving it today. That's Jan's meditation.
Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Meditating with Jan from Toyota. Soften your focus and imagine yourself off-roading in a Tacoma. Breathe in, breathe out, and go from dreaming it to driving it today. That's Jan's meditation.
Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano with you, and yesterday we got to catch up with Deputy Athletic Director Val Johnson, who was on the road with Oregon women's basketball, continuing to talk some women's basketball as well as what life looks like for the rest of the student athletes as the season continues to move forward and ultimately they move into their off seasons. Talking with Val Johnson. And you get to see really a full development. And the last time we talked was maybe in early January, and we were saying, yeah, it looks like Katie Fiso and Hisa Tute, they're scratching the surface. They could be sort of the future of this program. The future is now. Mm-hmm. They have taken off since then. The development throughout the course of the season, and now it seems like they're almost empowered on the court where they're like, yeah. Katie Fiso's all Big Ten second team. Hisa Tute is getting double-double after double-double. Yeah. And Kelly Graves mentioned she probably should have been on one of those teams. To see their development over the course of the season, that's got to be really cool for you to watch.
This is where I would say my mom heart beats strong. But to be able to watch them as, incoming freshmen and to see where they are now and where they're going to be. But then especially with those two, they're so humble. I think, Katie obviously understands her role as a leader on the court, and Heath just likes to go out there and play hard. No matter what, she's going to go play hard. And it was cute at one time, and this was like in the hotel or after the game or something. Katie was saying, like, on certain plays, like, she'll turn and she'll actually be looking for a Heath. But if a Heath is out getting a breath right now, she has to shift up really quick about, okay, well, who am I looking for right now? And just that, the camaraderie when they're on and off the court is really neat to see, especially as they develop just as people.
That is very cool. And it's the chemistry piece of this entire thing. And to see some youngsters stepping up and leading the team, it's very cool. But I want to flash all the way back to the end of the regular season on senior night, where 3 seniors are honored. They're all in the starting lineup. You get the Grateful Ducks going on. And I feel like just the whole thing kind of – it was fitting for senior night because it is something to be really grateful for, celebrating these student athletes.
It really is. I mean, and that's always, the hard part is because, like, you have these seniors who are just exceptional on and off the court. And to be able to see them recognized on senior night, especially at home on a really cool night, like breaking out, all the tie-dye and all that cool stuff that, really we're known for at this point across the nation of being able to do this, and seeing how it translates over into basketball was really neat to see. But those seniors are really exceptional, and even though some of them only been here this a short time, some have been here longer, they've all left their mark on this program. We'll continue doing that throughout the postseason. But it's just really neat to be able to see them. And then of course you got to love with Astira, she, her cool hairstyles, and I don't know if anyone could notice, but those were the Grateful Duck dancing bears on her head, or in her hair, that were dyed in. So she's able to take her artistic talents and really showcase them that way. And that was really cool because she still had it, obviously, going into the Big Ten tournament. So it was a really cool talking point for a lot of people to be able to see that.
It's incredible. I'm glad we got on this topic. It's incredible. Do you know how she does that with her hair? Because early in the season, there was like a multicolored handprint that was super cool on it. How does she just do it? Do you know?
She has a very dear friend who is very artistic and very talented, but they put a lot of time and effort thinking about what it's going to be and how it's going to match up either with a uniform or a promotion for that game. She's got great hair too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's really healthy hair, which anyone who colors their hair understands, like, you need to be careful with this. The funny thing is, when she came on a recruiting visit, she had this long brown hair that just kind of kept up in a bun. And so to go and see this now is just so night and day difference, but it's so cool because it really showcases her personality, and just how creative she is, and, and how, I would really just say how comfortable she is and who she is as a person, her creativity, and then what she does out on the court. It's been really neat to see everything from, I think one time she had a spider web, she had some hearts for Valentine's Day, she had the hot hand, which everyone really thought was cool. I learned a lot about the hair dyeing process, about like the timing that goes into, like, one color, let it process, then wash, and then do another color, let it process, then wash, to make sure it looks perfect. But it's really neat to be able to see her showcase her personality that way.
And to talk about, like, the University of Oregon and sort of the unique brand that the Ducks bring to the table, and have an athlete like that sort of embody that in her own personality, it's been really cool. We've been talking about postseason women's basketball, and the postseason isn't over just because the Ducks lost to Michigan in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten women's basketball tournament. Selection Sunday. It's coming up on this Sunday.
This Sunday.
This Sunday. So what, from behind the scenes, what should fans know about the selection process?
Oh, well, don't believe everything you read on social media. I will start with that. Don't do that. You just got to wait and see what it looks like. The projections of seeds are pretty accurate at this point, just based upon wins and losses and RPI and strength of schedule and quad one wins and all those kind of things that we track. But then at the end, it comes to the committee, and, Lisa Peterson has served at the head of that committee before, and so it's nice to have her right down the hall to get some insight about where we might land. But you really never know until Selection Sunday hits. So just like everyone else, we'll be sitting in front of a TV waiting to hear. And that's how we find out, along with every other Duck fan. It's not like we know today and we just act surprised on Sunday. It truly is a surprise. And then Brielle, she does a great job. She's the director of operations for women's basketball. She's doing everything for every scenario. We had to start this process weeks ago about flight manifest and how much does a trombone weigh and all those things that go into making sure you are ready to fly out when it's time to fly out. So she does a really good job with making sure all the travel arrangements are done. And then, of course, we have Aaron Wasson, who handles all of our postseason championship kind of logistics. And, he's just tracking to see, what that will look like. But we're planning on playing in the big dance. So we don't need to worry too much, knock on wood, about hosting for anything else. So we'll see how that goes. But we're always prepared. So there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes to prepare for any scenario that might come about.
Do you have like 4 different suitcases packed? It's like, here's if we go southeast, here's if we go northeast.
No, that would probably be smart to do, or at least kind of keeping a go bag ready. But no, you just kind of wait. Got to wash it all. Then there's maybe a little bit of superstition in there about what things you packed the last time that you're not going to pack this time. But no, we just kind of wait, and then you just pack it all up again. That was my Sunday, doing laundry, getting ready for the next one. But no, I mean, I think it's cool to be able to see like where you might end up. Like, who knows? I mean, it could be somewhere warm. It could be somewhere cold. Who knows? Like, you just kind of get ready and pack the gear as needed.
Okay, I know you've been focusing a lot on women's basketball, and we're excited for women's basketball and Selection Sunday. But there are a lot of other sports going on right now. And
many things.
Immense amount. I feel like every Monday on Duck Insider, I'm reading off 15 different athletic programs that have done something. But I do want to focus on the start of Big Ten conference action for both Oregon baseball and Oregon softball. And first I want to talk about the Jane. And it's this long home stretch, getting fans back at the Jane, now defending a Big Ten title in softball. It's cool to see Missy Lombardi's group be back at home, have some time to settle, and now get prepared to welcome in some more fans this weekend.
Right. No, I mean, this time of year is always so great. I always say I'm coming out of a fog because I go straight from volleyball right into women's basketball, and then the official commencement for myself of the spring season usually happens right after basketball season ends. So it's kind of fun to follow along like a general fan almost of like, oh, that's great. I didn't realize tennis was at home, or softball did this and that's awesome, or so-and-so had this hit, or baseball was on the road. That's super cool. So it's nice to be able to follow along, but of course it's always great when I'm back fully immersed in it and just being able to be a supportive role. But being able to see lacrosse doing so well right now. I mean, our tennis teams are off to a good start. And, of course, baseball, softball. I mean, then track going into nationals this week, I think it is, and then getting ready to go into outdoor. There's always just so much happening. And it's really cool to be able to transition over to the spring season. Usually by the time I'm full-fledged, hopefully we're hitting about 70 degrees again. And as we were talking earlier with Scott, it's like being able to sit out in the bob, get a tan, head over to PK Park, grab a hot dog. I mean, even like today, it's like, if you need to leave the office, just, I'm going to go check out some baseball. It's all work for us, right? It's still all work.
Well, and nothing's better than what lacrosse did on Monday, where they decide middle of the day, let's have a game at Pape Field, and then let's win 15-1.
Yeah.
Jess Drummond, great job in scheduling. That was excellent.
So great. I mean, and so it's awesome because typically, this time of year when you have baseball, softball, lacrosse, tennis, like there legitimately could be something in the middle of the day, or at least the first game of a series is on maybe a Friday at 2 or, whatever. It's nice to be able to be like, I think I'm going to leave the office for a little bit and head on out and just go support one of our teams. But I'm really looking forward to how all of our spring sports do in Big Ten play.
And zooming out from kind of a whole athletic department perspective, the student-athlete development of it all, it's been really cool to see all the opportunities that these student-athletes are able to do, especially during the off-seasons of their season where they can go out and make impacts in their community or in other communities.
Right. Well, a perfect example, and today I just met with Katie Harbert. She is the mastermind behind all of our student-athlete development programming. She actually said, I mean, speaking about the off-season piece, is soccer. They just did a networking night just as the soccer team, and she said it was phenomenal.
Cool.
And so to be able to utilize those opportunities to interact with alums, local business partners, student athlete alums, to really be able to have our student athletes experience kind of getting prepped for life after athletics, whatever that might look like, is a really good opportunity. I mean, excitingly for me, I'm going to be going on our Courts for Kids trip to the Dominican Republic, and that's a group of 25 of our student athletes that get to go and build a sport court in a community. And Katie Harbert's been organizing this trip for almost, over 14 years, I want to say, to a variety of countries, and it's an awesome experience. And just kind of circling back to even women's basketball, the GA for women's basketball this year is Alex Matsuoka, who played lacrosse. And but she met Brielle, director of ops, for women's basketball on the Courts for Kids trip to Panama, and along with Sophia Bell and Peyton Scott. And so it was really cool just to be around her in her new role as a GA for women's basketball, but knowing that it all stemmed from this student athlete development opportunity where she made these connections. And the work that Katie and her staff do, whether it's a professional development trip that they're actually taking to Chicago this year, you know, the Courts for Kids trip, but so many different opportunities. Our student athletes, I always say this, if they just did a fraction of what Katie and her team put together throughout their time here, they are going to be so ahead of the game by the time that they are done with their competitions, with their eligibility and getting ready to graduate than, I mean, anyone. So I really give kudos to them, but really a huge shout out to the people that support these programs, that volunteer their time for mentoring our student athletes. It is a really, really cool thing that they get to experience as a Duck.
Have you ever been on one of these trips before?
I haven't. I'm so looking forward to it. It's 10 days, no cell phones. You don't know if you're going to have running water or not. You're hauling cement. You're meeting the community. I need to brush up on my Spanish. But according to my Dominican Republic TikTok that I've been watching, it's a lot faster and very different than the Spanish I learned at Orland High School back in circa 1994. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. Looking forward to just being with others. There's a lot of other staff members going as well as chaperones, and then just spending time with our student athletes outside of what our norm is day to day.
That's so cool. I'm excited for you to get to experience that. Val Johnson, Deputy Athletic Director, Senior Women Administrator, Deputy Title IX Coordinator. What else should fans know on what we think is a current Tuesday and for them is actually going to be a Wednesday when they hear this?
Just mark your calendars. Come out, support our student athletes. If you are looking for ways to get involved, contact Katie Harbert. She could get you involved with different ways to support our students and kind of life outside of athletics. But there's just so many great opportunities, and yeah, we're just hoping to bring in more and more Big Ten championships and some more postseason national accolades as well.
Thanks, Val.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
It is now a Wednesday, and it is still Oregon baseball game day. Ducks playing against Xavier in a midweek series. The second game coming up later today, recapping a Game 1 victory from a Tuesday night victory when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga. My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread while you're off for this wayward son? I left my heart.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio on a Wednesday after a Tuesday midweek victory for Oregon over Xavier. The Ducks and the Musketeers will play again coming up tonight. It was a 10-0 victory in 8 innings, a walk-off run rule victory for Oregon yesterday as Junior Lawaki got his first run batted in of his career, and it was a walk-off single up the middle. Jax Jimenez hit a grand slam. Drew Smith hit a home run as far as I've ever seen a ball hit at PK Park, and Oregon's pitching combined for a one-hitter across the game with the Musketeers. A 3 o'clock first pitch time coming up later today. Quick segment here because we need to get to Coach Wazakowski coming up in the next segment on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you real.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. A 10-0 win for Oregon baseball last night. Coach Wazakowski's post-game thoughts from a Tuesday win.
Good midweek day. Would you like from Twist specifically just to see kind of emerging as the possible fourth starter midweek guy? Or?
I don't know. Good question. You know, we'll probably break that down and talk about it in coach's room. I mean, Toby's really good. He wasn't super sharp at the beginning, and then he was able to, again, find it and be able to really turn a little bit of an interesting start into something that was really positive and productive for him. And he got the win, and he pitched really well. He really found his rhythm and started landing all his pitches, but it took him a little bit to get a feel for things. And I was just happy with his resiliency.
Could you maybe explain a little bit what happened in the first? We think we figured it out up in the press box, but we're not 100% sure.
No.
Okay.
No.
12 strikeouts from the pitching staff today. Just would you like from the bullpen guys that came in and just kept the efforts up, especially Crawford?
You know, there's a lot of talent down there, right? And I've said it a lot where the experience piece is a real thing. Like we don't have a bunch of guys that have had a bunch of experience, and so the only way they're going to get that experience is to actually be pitching in these games. And so every day's good from an experience standpoint. It's not totally pretty and smooth yet. As much as I hope that they continue to progress by the end of the year, we'll see it smooth out as we go. But there's a lot of talent, right? I mean, there's a lot of arm talent down there, and even, when you're bringing like even a junior Laukai off the bench, I mean, he's a tremendous talent. There's a lot of good players here. Credit to the assistant coaches for doing a good job of stocking the place with talent.
Would you like from Braden in right field today? Will we see that again? Why was Jack sat down today?
I don't want to go into Jack Brooks. Jack Brooks went into the wall the other day at Purdue, and so he's not 100% right now, and so but nevertheless, we're just trying to with that happening, and Jack was our starting center fielder. Got to make adjustments, and so we're trying to find out what we can do with adjustments. So Braden Jackson's a really talented player, and getting him more plate appearances and finding places to play. Obviously, when Burke's playing and hitting as well as he is too, you got to try to find places for really good players to play.
Jimenez got that home run today, just the second on his career for you guys. Just how big is that for him and for you guys to have him hit that?
Well, it's a good question, and it's really big because, he's a talented player. He's a really athletic kid, and Jim, just him having the experience now and gaining more and more experience by the day is only going to help him and us.
That's Coach Wazakowski's post-game thoughts from Oregon baseball and their win yesterday against Xavier. It was a 10-0 win for the Ducks on the diamond, and I thought really it was a complete game all the way throughout. The Ducks played well defensively. Oregon played well offensively. And, of course, when you hold a team to one hit, it means you pitch pretty well on the bump. Oregon's looking to replicate that again today. A 3 o'clock first pitch. I am going right over to PK Park right after this because we're on the air at 2:45 for the pregame show for Oregon baseball, getting another taste against the Musketeers, and it's a team that Oregon has had some success against here at PK Park in recent years, and they're trying to continue that success here against Xavier after Oregon had a successful start to the midweek series against the Musketeers already earlier this weekend. If you have a chance to get out to PK Park, you want, hey, it's time for me to take the early day off. I know exactly where you should be going because PK Park is absolutely the destination for you. Joey Mack will be back here tomorrow on Duck Insider. We got a lot to touch on throughout the next few days on Duck Insider. Coach Lombardi talking Oregon softball. Coach Jess Drummond talking Oregon lacrosse. And then, of course, a recap of Oregon baseball from tonight and Oregon men's basketball as their season unfortunately came to a close last night. A whole bunch going on around the Oregon Athletic Department, and I will talk to you in 45 minutes from PK Park. Go Ducks.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good